Marvel's Superheroes is out, and you have been legally required to make a deck featuring either Thor, the Mighty Thor, Donald Balake, or Mjolnir itself. And that means you need a cool deck box to go with your Thoring. So in this video, I'll review the Mjollnir Deck Box from Ryan 3D Designs. Welcome to Absolute Cardboard. As your mother well knows, I am the internet's leading expert on hammering, which is why I'm uniquely qualified to review this Mjolnir deck box. Ryan, or Ryan 3D Designs, did provide this to me for my own honest and truthful review, and the first thing you may be thinking is, how does this work? It's a hammer, not a deck box, you silly. Well, it is a deck box, and it's actually a two-piece deck box. Unscrew the handle, and now you have a hammerhead and a handle, with the hammerhead holding the actual deck. Use both your thumbs and press up on this latch, and you will see a very spacious compartment. This will hold a lot, including over 100 double sleeve cards, more specifically about 100 double sleeve cards and about 25 to 30 unsleeved cards. You can hold about 100 single sleeve cards with 80 unsleeved cards. If you ever want to take this for a event or F&M, this is more than adequate to hold your entire deck, the sideboard, and various tokens, so from draft to modern or what have you. And if you're lazy like me, you can actually just take a box with a full deck inside, just put it into the hammerhead compartment, and you are ready to go from storage to play. Now, if you need dice, you're in luck because the handle is actually hollow, and you can fit a good amount of dice in there. I was actually able to get about 11 D12, which are my preferred dice, and they will actually hold D20, so that's good. There's also another option for a smaller handle, and that will obviously hold less. The handle itself is also fairly substantial and weighty in your hand. With a little adjusting, you can actually fit the big bundle dice in there. As one would expect from a hammer, this thing holds up pretty well. The walls are super thick, and the head itself is pretty weighty. The lid is attached with a hinge, and there's screws in it, and it's not going anywhere. The latch will hold snug and makes a good snap when closed. Here, take a listen. The handle, when screwed in, makes this really feel like a hammer you might wield if you were a god of thunder. But I must warn you, do not use this as a hammer. In fact, when I was practicing to do that cool flip earlier in the video, this thing hit the ground often, and while the deck box and the handle actually held together pretty well, the thread did crack, the one that ties the handle into the head of the deck box, and I had to kind of super glue it back together. And that is in no way a fault of the designer. This is just me wanting to test the limits of what the deck box could do and also look super cool. And speaking of looking super cool, obviously this is Mjolnir, the Norse god of thunder's hammer, and you have to be worthy and whatever. Although I think this one is actually more stylized to traditional versions of Mjolnir, or maybe even the MCU version. I think the comic book one has like that engraving on the side, who he shall ever be worthy of Mjolnir gets the power of Thor, or something like that. But the one thing to keep in mind is that Mjolnir is a completely made up thing and not real, so it can kind of take whatever it wants, and you can kind of use it for whatever you want. But there are a few key touches, regardless of its mythic nature, that I want to point out. The ridges on the handle are great for gripping. The runes and engravings are very high quality for 3D prints, and we've reviewed some deck boxes on the channel where the details left a bit to be desired, but this is not one of those cases. Additionally, the deck box can rest, head down or handle down, but it will also rest on its own corner, giving it that waiting to be lifted look that kind of has become so familiar with Mjolnir, which means this is a terrific option for home shelf display or desktop, or heck, even in the new display module for my box house system. The display being the newest STL for the system, available right now on my Patreon and coming soon to my Etsy store, where you can find all the box house storage pieces. There is one pretty obvious drawback with the deck box, and that it is in the shape of a goddamn hammer, which means it won't fit into your Stanley carrying case with your 30 other commander decks. In fact, this is one of those deck boxes where I recommend something with padded walls or some kind of firm holding thing like the Cavern Hold, of which I do have a full review on the channel, or at least something like a camera bag insert to make sure you don't get too much pressure, either damaging the handle or the more accurately the threads where the handle connects to the hammerhead. However, if you do want to take this in a smaller bag, there's nothing stopping you from just removing the handle and just taking the head with you. This will still hold a deck and have extra space for tokens or dice, so you'll have to manage it a little bit better. And this will actually fit into more storage systems, and then when you get back home, you reattach the handle and put it back out on display. Now, there are really no fidgety bits on this thing. The latch is fine, but not fun. However, sitting at your desk with a big hammer and, flipping it and dropping it, that can be pretty fun. Though I can't be responsible for what happens when you do drop it. And you will drop it. The big question, as always, is who is this for? And I think, obviously, with the recent Marvel set, if you want to run any of the Thors, this is kind of a slam dunk. There's an actual Mjolnir in the set, along with like 3 or 4 Thors, so you have lots of chances. But don't forget, Magic already had an in-universe set based loosely on Norse mythology, so you could run it with the Kaldheim version of Thor, which I think is like Torall, for the Kaldheim version of Mjolnir, which is Mjolnir. Or probably actually any commander from Kaldheim with that special showcase treatment with the kind of etchings around the side that would pair up with this really well too. And with a lot of the pieces that I do review, this is a great conversation starter or just a set piece for your shelves, but it does have that added ability to go top down like a Corvette and be used in normal situations. And I think particularly with the long handle, this is just a fun thing to have around. This actually has a real nice hammer feel to it when you're holding it. So much that the designer actually had to put a note in the listing to not use it as a hammer. Though you could. And I will. On Bernie. Thank you for watching, and feel free to check out the listing for this and all the other 3D printed deck boxes from that designer. If you're interested in the box house system, feel free to check out my Etsy store or Patreon, where you can get the files instead of the actual printed product. If you want to check out some other cool 3D printed deck boxes, check this playlist out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.